So we're going to start with the electricity rate applied to different accounts. So the electricity rate local utility company applied to you is based on how much you use the usage the whole year. There's basically two type of electricity rate. The first one is spot market rate. We also call HOEP plus global adjustment. This rate applied to large volume account who use 250,000 kilowatt hours a year, which, in general speaking, that mid-size or large business and industrial customers. And for people who or business who use less than 250,000 a year, the regulated price plan applied to this group of customer. So any residential small business, if you have volume less than this threshold, you will have this RPP rate. Under the RPP rate, there's time of use rate. You probably already heard it from time to time, which also the rate applied to your home. And this one, the time of use rate applied to business or residential customer who has a smart meter, which the meter can tell what's time period, how much you use during morning, afternoon, or evening. There's a small amount of customer in Ontario who don't have smart meter, and so there's going to be the tier rate applied to them, which is just two tiers of the fixed rate. And so basically this is two group of rates and basing on the usage. One thing we want to emphasize is, so it doesn't matter you pay spot market risk plus global adjustment or you are under the RPP plan. The whole idea is the electricity rate will cover the cost of generation and production. So basically, utility doesn't really make money on this part of the charge. They brought electricity on the wholesale market and transfer this electricity to the customer and collect the money from their customer, and this cost charge will cover the generation all the electricity in Ontario market. So basically, this doesn't matter you enter RPP or spot market plus GA. This is same. You are supported the same group of generation resources. So no matter you pay spot market plus GA or RPP, this each rate is calculated a little different, and basing on your account type, and also there is a different way to recover the cost when we say electricity generation cost through the power consumers. And we are going to move on the first group of the large volume account. So first facility use 250,000 a year, you are going to pay the spot market rate. The spot market rate we also call wholesale electricity price. This price is settled through the Ontario IESO, the grid operator, run the wholesale market. So each day, or say each hour, they bring the supply, meet the demand, and they settle the price, hourly price, and then average each month. So the price you see on your bill by the end of each month, that's average through each hour and settled on the wholesale market. That's a portion for the large volume customer, and we also mentioned there was global adjustment. So the large customer also pay the global adjustment, and this rate is a fixed rate, a monthly fixed rate, apply the same usage which you will charge on spot market. So let's move on to the next page. And I think people already heard global adjustment on the news so many times, and people talk about it, and politicians talk about it. So what is a global adjustment? And one thing we need to mention is in Ontario power market, majority of our supply resources, generations resources already either have a fixed price contract or cap or guaranteed price contract. So meaning there was an obligation the system operator or the government have to fulfill each month to meet their contract obligation to say, there was contract price is 5 cents or 10 cents, it doesn't matter. There's a contract price have to be met by the end of each month, they have to reach that guaranteed cost. So the global adjustment is count for the difference between spot market price and the rates paid this regulated or contract generators, as well as also includes some costs from conservation program, demand response management programs. This whole chart. So what is its the difference coming from? So say, in the last page we did talk about the HOEP, which is settled each hour through supply and demand balance. So from time to time, the spot market rate settled is much lower than this either guaranteed or contract price. So if it's a market is settled as 2 cents and the contract is 5 cents, there is 3 cents difference. So, but there is a financial obligation the government has to be fulfilled. What they do, they transfer this 3 cents cost to a line of charge called global adjustment and apply to the customer who pays spot market price. So this is just trying to fill the gap. Global adjustment is fill the gap for financial obligation system operator and government to sign all this guaranteed and fixed price contract. So that's where this coming from. And because we already in Ontario we have a lot of generation resource we call surplus. So oftentimes nowadays you see global adjustment getting bigger and bigger, but overall this global adjustment plus spot market rate, that's the total actually the real cost for purchasing electricity on the wholesale market. And also the global adjustment not only apply to high volume accounts, which meaning they use 250,000 a year. This global adjustment also apply to account who switch from utility to a retail contract. We can talk about that later. The retailers such as LAS program, we can talk about this later in the presentation. And this chart just give you a general idea and the how the spot market rates HOEP changing from over years, and also the global adjustment. And at the bottom table you can see, so there's the total charge from for electricity in Ontario. That's the total HOEP plus GA. And on the chart on the top, the green line is the total cost of electricity, and the red line is the global adjustment, and the blue line is the HOEP, the spot market. That's the one settled through ISO managed wholesale market, and that's settled through demand and supply balance, and each hour, and eventually averaged to a one single charge on your bill. That's the one you see. So so far this year, for the first 10 months, you will see the spot market rate is 2.34 cents, and for global adjustment it's 9 cents, and the total cost for the first 10 months is 11.36 cents. So let's move on to the smaller account who use 250, less than 250,000 a year. And we just talked about in the early section, there's a TOU price, time of use. So we see this one. You probably see this on your home electricity bills. There was 3 time period: on peak, off peak, middle peak. So this time period has a different rate, which meaning when you use more during the on peak time, the price is getting higher, which this rate is also reflecting the generation cost during that period of time, which being normally higher. So the TOU rate is set by Ontario Energy Board. It's used to be adjusted twice a year, which is in May and in November. And because there's the new Fair Energy Plus hydro plan introduced last year, from 2017, this rate starting apply to just whole year. It won't adjust, every 6 months. It will only adjust once a year. However, for TOU rate, you can see at the bottom of this slide, there's summer time schedule and also winter schedule. So this time schedule switch a little bit from every 6 months, and now we are in the winter schedule. So you have 2 on-peak hours. So from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. and 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. That's the on-peak hours, which is the most expensive time, because they are actually considering a lot of lighting demand. Because we have shorter days during the winter time and it's darker, so people tend to use more electricity during that time. And then you add pressure on the grid, you require more supply from the producers. That's why that period of time, the price is getting sort of higher. One thing, as we also mentioned, doesn't matter you're a small customer, or small or large size of customer, every single electricity price they try to recover the cost of electricity. So you think it's just one line of a charge for TOU price, but actually the global adjustment part was actually included in this, incorporated in the TOU price. So people don't see the global adjustment line on their bill. They were thinking, okay, I don't pay that. No, you actually pay that because it's every consumer in Ontario market have to pay the fair price, which is the cost of electricity, and the cost of electricity for everyone is the same. So although you only see one line, one single charge, you don't see the global adjustment charge, but it is included. And when the OEB issued this price at the beginning of the year, they already considered the entire cost of the market. So that's one thing we need to mention here. And I also mentioned there's the Ontario Fair Hydro Plan implemented from beginning of 2017. So the customer who used 250,000, less than 250,000, they received the 8% promotional GST. Started beginning of January 2017. That's 8%. That's from Ontario government. Also, there was another 17%. If you remember, the government announced that total 25% reduction from this fair hydro plan. So it's also another 17% deduction from the TOU rate actually should be charged to this group of customer. So what do you see now? The 13.2, 9.4, and 6.5. It's actually about roughly 70% less than they're supposed to be to reflect the real market cost. I didn't put on the slides, but that I bring the actual cost. So from Ontario Energy Board website, you can find the actual cost of this winter if there's no the 17% deduction from the fair hydro plant. So instead of 13.2, the on-peak price up will be 20.3, and the mid-peak instead of 9.4, it will be 14.6, and off-peak price should be 10 cents instead of 6.5. So overall, there's two deduction on this price. You see 8% GST is basically showing on your bill. So this is after the price, but the published rate 13.2, 9.4, and 6.5, that's factored in the deduction coming from the Ontario Fair Hydro Plant. So this is one of the small customers going to pay. And the next one, and we are talking about the two-tier rate. The tier rate. This is for people who use less than 250,000 and don't have a smart meter. This is also for the street light accounts, on which you of course you don't have a smart meter on those accounts. So for this type of account, there's two consumption threshold. So for the first 750 kilowatt hours each month, you will pay 7.7 for that consumption, and all other consumption beyond that 750, you will pay 8.9 cents. And this is same as we talk about the TO rate set by the OEB, and now it's only lasts for 1 year. Used to review it every 6 months, and this once again incorporated global adjustment charge, same as the TO rate we just discussed, and business or people on this type of a rate also receive 8% GST rebate, as well as that the discount reduction we talk about from the Ontario Fair Hydro Plant. And let me see the rate without the Ontario Fair Hydro Plant. The two-tier rate, the first tier will going to be 11.8 instead of 7.7, and the second tier will be 13.8 instead of 8.9. So this is the rate and structure applied to different type of account, large and small, as we discussed in the past two slides. So I understand, lots of it was a large amount of LIS membership has the RPP account, and when they switch to the program LIS is running, so they switch from RPP to the spot market pricing plus GA. If you remember when we discussed in the early section, when you sign on a retail contract, you pay spot market rate plus GA. So you could enter the RPP rate because you have a small volume, but when you sign a retail contract, you will pay HOEP plus GA. So that's one thing to remember. And remember, this GA is not actual. This is already included in the RPP rate you have been paid. So once you switch from RPP and sign it with any retailer paying spot market rate plus GA, you will still continue to receive that 8% GST rebate because it's coming from provincial government. Plus that, you will also receive the reduction coming from the Fair Hydro Plant. This one is they call the GA modifier. This reduction, or say a line of credit, is good for 1 year, same as your RPP rate. So for the time period from May 28 to April 30, which is current period time, the deduction or the credit, the GA modifier is 4.44%. So when you switch from your RPP, you pay spot market rate plus GA. Then you will get deduct this 4.4 cent from the fire hydrant line. Then you will also receive 8% GST. So this two portion, 8% GST rebate and also the deduction from fair hydrant burners, no change. It doesn't matter if your RPP count, you paying the TOU rate at the two-tier rate or you switch to a retail contract. So that's one thing we need to understand. So this one we just and bring a reality check. So see what's the number. We already talked about what the rate you're paying and what the structure is. So eventually, how much we are actually paying. Like I said, the first line you will see the spot market rate. So say if you are a large account and use 250,000 a year, the commodity price, the HOEP portion is 2.34 for the first 10 months of this year, and the GA portion is 902, and the total you're paying 1136. And the tier rate and the TOU rate, we are using the portfolio of a typical, I think it's LS customer. So for the two-tier rates, you pay 7.7 for the first 750, and above that you pay 8.9. So overall, you have to pay at least 8 cents above 8 cents. And for the TOU rate, basing on 22.5 on peak portfolio and 22.5 on middle peak and 55.5% on off peak, the overall average price for the TOU customer will be 8.67 cents. So if you switch to LAS for the retail billing contract, let's say you don't hedge any portion of your consumption, you're billing just on spot market pay, like we said, pay HOEP plus GA, and then you will get that GA modifier credit. So what's the price you're going to pay? The commodity price HOP is still the same, 2.34, and the GA, that's the 902 deduct by 4.44, so you will pay 4.58 for your GA, and the total cost will be around 6.92 cents for the first 10 months. And if you are hedging a portion of your consumption, and say you are joining a LAS program currently, so how much you're going to pay? You commodity price equal to 2.22 cents. So which we are assuming you are hedging 65% from the program, and you leave the rest 35% on spot market. So the average commodity price is 222.21, and plus the GA reduced by the GA modifier, which is 458. So the total cost is around 679 for the first 10 months of 2018. So that's just to give you a general idea what you're going to pay, either securing, you get your supply and billing from local utility, you defer utility, either you're on spot market or you are paying under RPP, or you switch to the LAS program purely on retail billing and paying spot market rate, or you hedge a portion of your usage. So on the very right hand side of the column, you will see the rate, and that's the rate for the first 10 months. So this is all my presentation for today. And any questions, I think we can bring in later on.
Okay. So thank you, Cynthia. Hi, it's Eleanor, everyone. I'll walk you through the LAS electricity program, and just to give you a high level of who we are and how long we've been in existence, and what our principles are and our beliefs. I know we've gone over a lot of technical right now with Cynthia, and it's a lot of information. The program was launched back in 2007 with 25 municipalities that were initially enrolled. We're currently at 133 participants that are at a hedge level. Our annual hedge is 470,000 megawatts with a total number of 7,053 accounts enrolled. We have three cornerstones of the program that we believe are, really important to, helping our municipal members, manage their costs, because again, costs are a big factor for our municipal participants, but also to provide stability. And I think some of the things that we just saw and the changes in the commodity pricing from 2009, where, the program was, kind of in its inception, to where we are today with the global adjustment. Those things are big factors in the way the program is run. So, the way that we see it is we try and provide, some sort of stability for our participants when it comes to the purposes of budgeting and helping them with their management of their electricity. So one of the things that the program does offer is flexibility. There's definitely an option to hedge up to a certain percentage, up to 75%. So we typically see, I think, the majority of hedges at probably 65% is our average hedge, but you can hedge up to 75%. Or actually, you can choose to ride the market and do the whole 100% spot market. We're a licensed electricity retailer. Like, that's a big component as well. We couldn't operate if we weren't. But we offer our participants an annual review of their accounts, and to decide whether they're at the right hedge. We also provide them with analysis if they need it in terms of their usage. And try to provide as much support as possible. The other thing that we do, that we take pride in, I should say, big pride in, is the accuracy of the data. We have, a team that looks at this data and works on the DCB billing from the LDCs on a daily basis. We make sure that the information is accurate. If there's any gaps, we receive exception reports. We deal with it on a daily basis, and we try and make sure that we're calculating the cost of electricity that go on your bill. If there's ever any questions, again, we're here to answer all the information. So we try to do that work for you. We understand that there's so many municipalities that are strapped with capacity, and this is just one check that we do on our end to make sure that your billings are accurate, so you don't have to do it. And we also manage the hedge as well. So on an annual basis, we actually go out and procure a hedge. We just finished our current one this year, and we made our price announcement this week. I'll talk about that at the end of the presentation. But with that annual hedge, we try and rebalance where it's required to make sure that we're giving the proper adjustments and proper costs, where we can, minimize those for municipalities, and we can apply them to their accounts. The other thing that we offer is transparency and accountability. Again, we've got the DCB team here that's available for any questions that you may have on your bills. We can provide you with analysis of your hydro bills, consumption trends, anything that you ask. We make sure that we're in compliance with any kind of submissions, or we can assist you with your 39711 submissions. Again, just because we do have the data in detailed format. We provide those monthly billing summaries to our program participants, and we also initiated this year a quarterly newsletter for energy. It's an energy newsletter, so it not only addresses what's going on in the electricity market, but also the natural gas market. We did a survey of our participants in all of our energy programs to find out, what are the pain points, or what are the things that you're lacking, or what are the things that are we doing well, or that we could do better. And we found that, providing some more communications was a better, is something that you need. So we're looking at doing that and doing that on a quarterly basis. So any kind of value add efforts, we try and meet that. So again, ad hoc requests, if there's any that are, you know, related to your electricity billings, we're always here to support you. So I'll go over our 2019 hedge level and options. Basically in the, let's see, we just went through our hedge this year, as I had mentioned. So we awarded that November the 1st. So in past years, we allow municipalities to, you know, again, select between two different approaches. So if you want to do a hedge alongside with some spot billing or 100% spot billing, that's your option. We pretty much prepare our load usually in the fall to get an idea of, you know, when we're going to go out to the market, and then, you know, we look at what pricing, what's going on in the market in terms of commodity, and then, you know, make a decision on when's the best time to actually go out and procure that hedge. As mentioned before, again, and I can't say it enough, that GA modifier is a big the GA modifier is a big component of the of your billing, and again, it's based on consumption. So we can control that commodity piece, but we cannot control the GA modifier. It's just a fact of what it is. So the hedge purchase, again, as I mentioned, you can purchase up to 75% of your consumption at a fixed price, and it usually runs on a calendar year. So we'll make the purchase at the end of the year, but the hedge usually applies January to December. And currently we have approximately, as I mentioned, 133 municipalities in the hedge. Oh, and I should also mention that our fees are based on megawatt hours, so our fees are $1.50 per megawatt hour. 100% spot billing. Under this option, LAS does not make any hedge purchases for the municipality. Again, things are changing in the energy market. Some municipalities are finding that, you know, they want to go on that 100% spot because they don't want to leave our program. And that's an option as well. Currently, those accounts are billed by account, so the usage is billed by account, and it is billed at $11 per account. We also have the streetlight program that's billed at $6 per account. So the biggest opportunity for cost savings over a 12-year period or a 12-month period is usually through spot, but it doesn't necessarily guarantee that you will have savings. So again, it's always a municipality that makes that final decision on what the best approach is that they want to take with their electricity billings. But, you know, 1 year you can have, and again, because we have so many fluctuations and the GA modifier has come into play, you know, last year we actually saw, or actually in 2018, we're seeing savings through our hedge. That may not necessarily be the case next year. We just try and do the best we can in terms of providing some sort of protection to hedge against that instability. There's also just a footnote here. Please note the difference in LAS fees when considering each option, as this can greatly impact perceived savings under the program. Again, we're trying not to say savings as opposed to stability, and you need to take these considerations or these factors into consideration when making when doing that analysis. But again, we can help you with that analysis. We can't give you a recommendation because, you know, we can't do that. That's completely up to you. But we can give you options in terms of, you know, things that you can look at in terms of your usage. If you need help with any kind of, you know, energy analysis or electricity analysis. So I think that's it on our end in terms of, you know, we wanted just to cover the high-end information, and from a technical perspective, I think we've covered a lot on what's going on in the energy market. Thank you, Cynthia. Corey is available for any questions that anyone may have, and we'll take those now.
Okay. We have one question so far on the chat in regards to the pricing increase or decrease for next year. Based on our hedge price for next year, it's about a 10% increase over this year. In terms of the market price, it's about the same. in that same range for next year. Our price for next year is 2.4 cents. And our price for the current year is 2.141. So that's a 10% increase for next year. Are there any other questions?
You can unmute your mic if you'd like to speak.
Do you have any more questions? So thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Hopefully we've answered some questions. If you have any other questions, you can, visit our website. You can contact me, you can contact Corey. We'll be more than happy to assist. And we've recorded this. And although we did have some technical difficulties, so we may have to re-record it and post it on our website. So if you don't see this one shortly, we will have another version for you posted on our website soon. So thanks again for your time, everyone.
Thank you.
And have a great day.